The Zephyrian High Command had studied humans for 3 standard cycles. They had cataloged their weaknesses, analyzed their combat patterns, and dissected every available battle recording from the Terran Coalition conflicts. The conclusion was unanimous. Humans were reckless, emotional, and prone to fatal mistakes under pressure. Commander Vexthul adjusted his ceremonial battle armor as he reviewed the mission parameters one final time. The target was a single human, Sergeant Marcus Chen of the Terran Marines. Intel suggested he was stranded on the mining station Kepler 442b after his transport was destroyed. No backup, no reinforcements, no escape route. "This is almost insulting," muttered Sub-Commander Kriak, her forearms checking the plasma rifles with practiced efficiency. "Sending the Shadow Talon unit against one isolated human? We've eliminated entire battalions." Vexthul's mandibles clicked in agreement. The Shadow Talon unit was the pride of the Zephyrian military, 12 of their finest warriors, each enhanced with cybernetic implants, trained from hatching in the art of warfare. They had never failed a mission, never lost a member. They were death incarnate. "Command wants to make a statement," Vexthul replied, his voice a low growl through his translator. "The humans need to understand the futility of resistance." The mining station hung in the void like a metallic tumor, its exterior scarred by micrometeorite impacts and industrial wear. The Shadow Talon unit moved through the docking bay with predatory grace, their advanced sensors sweeping for heat signatures and movement. The station's life support was minimal. Most sections had been sealed off, creating a maze of corridors and maintenance tunnels. "Target located," whispered Scout Veltar, her optical implants zooming in on a heat signature 3 levels below. "Section 7G near the reactor core. Single human, stationary." Too easy, Vexthul thought, but kept the observation to himself. Humans were known for their unpredictability, but this one seemed to be waiting for them. Perhaps he had accepted his fate. The unit descended through the station's skeletal framework, moving like shadows through the industrial arteries. Emergency lighting cast eerie red glows across their path, and the constant hum of the failing life support systems created an ominous soundtrack to their approach. As they neared Section 7G, Vexthul raised his fist, signaling the unit to halt. Through the reinforced viewport, they could see their target, a human male in standard marine fatigues sitting casually on a supply crate. His back was to them, and he appeared to be working on something with his hands. "Surround the chamber," Vexthul commanded through their neural link. "Remember, alive if possible. Command wants to interrogate him before execution." The Shadow Talon unit flowed into position with lethal precision, plasma rifles charged, targeting systems locked onto the human center mass. Escape routes calculated and blocked. It was textbook perfection. Vexthul activated the chamber's door with a sharp hiss of decompressing atmosphere. The human didn't turn around. "Human designated Marcus Chen," Vexthul announced, his voice echoing in the confined space. "You are surrounded by the Shadow Talon unit. Surrender immediately and your death will be swift." The human's shoulders shook slightly. Was he crying? Praying to one of their primitive deities? Vexthul had read about human emotional responses to imminent death. Then the human stood up, still facing away from them, and spoke 2 words that would echo through Zephyrian military history. "Watch this." Marcus Chen turned around, revealing not fear or desperation in his eyes, but something far more dangerous. A wild grin and the unmistakable gleam of human ingenuity mixed with complete, reckless abandon. In his hands was a device that made Vexthul's blood run cold, a jury-rigged fusion core wrapped in mining charges, connected to what appeared to be the station's gravity generator. The human had somehow weaponized the entire mining platform. "See, the thing about humans," Marcus said conversationally as if discussing the weather instead of holding enough explosive power to vaporize half the solar system, "is that we have this really bad habit. When we're outgunned, outnumbered, and completely screwed," he paused, his grin widening, "we get creative." Sub-Commander Kriak's targeting system was screaming warnings. The energy readings from the device were off the charts. "Commander, we need to hold position." Vexthul snarled, but uncertainty crept into his voice. The human was clearly insane, but the readings were real. Human. "That device will destroy everything within a 50-kilometer radius." "You'll die too," Marcus shrugged. "Probably. But here's the thing, I'm one guy. You're an entire elite squad. From where I'm standing, that's a pretty good trade-off. He tilted his head thoughtfully. Plus, I'm really curious to see if this thing actually works. I had to improvise with the wiring. The Shadow Talon unit, veterans of 1,000 battles, found themselves in completely uncharted territory. Their tactical protocols had no provisions for an enemy willing to commit mutually assured destruction over a single engagement. Humans weren't supposed to be this unhinged. Of course, Marcus continued, his finger hovering over what appeared to be a detonator cobbled together from mining equipment. There is one other option. Vexthal's mandibles clicked nervously. Which is? You could run. Marcus's eyes sparkled with manic delight. I mean really, really fast. Because I'll be honest, the math on this thing was way above my pay grade. And I'm not entirely sure about the blast radius calculation. For a moment that stretched into eternity, the chamber was silent except for the ominous humming of the improvised weapon. 12 of the galaxy's most feared warriors stared at one grinning human, holding enough destructive power to crack a small moon. Then Vexthal made a decision that would reshape Zephyrian military doctrine forever. Shadow Talon unit, he said quietly into his communicator. Tactical withdrawal. Now. As the elite squad retreated with as much dignity as they could maintain while essentially running for their lives, Marcus Chen called out behind them, "Hey, tell your bosses that Earth sends its regards." The last thing Vexthal heard before the chamber door sealed was the human's laughter. Not the bitter laugh of defeat, but the wild, infectious laughter of someone who had just pulled off the impossible, through sheer audacity and questionable judgment. 3 hours later, after the Shadow Talon unit had retreated to a safe distance, long-range sensors detected a massive energy signature from the mining station. When the electromagnetic interference cleared, Kepler 442b was gone, along with Marcus Chen and his improvised doomsday device. The official Zephyrian report classified the incident as equipment malfunction, mining accident. But among the military ranks, the story spread like wildfire. The elite Shadow Talon unit, the pride of the Zephyrian forces, had been defeated not by superior firepower or tactical brilliance, but by one human's willingness to turn himself into a walking apocalypse just to see what would happen. The war lasted another 6 months. But after Kepler 442b, whenever Zephyrian forces encountered humans, there was always a moment of hesitation, a brief, chilling thought. What if this one decides to get creative too? And in the halls of Terran Command, Marcus Chen's final transmission became legendary, not just for its tactical significance, but for perfectly encapsulating the human approach to impossible odds. Sometimes the best way to win is to make sure everyone loses. Watch this.